All right, everybody, welcome into the Jake Delhomme episode 17 of the Barking Brown Show. I am your host, Jacob, over at Roachism13 on Twitter. Joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Nick Carnes at Carnesies817 on Twitter. Nick, how are we doing today?
Good. On a special Monday today.
Special Monday. Birthday boy Nick needs his birthday extravaganza tomorrow, so we're coming at you just a little bit earlier. Real quick, off the top of this show. Also, if you want to contact the show directly, you can email us at thebarkingbrown@gmail.com. We always appreciate all your likes, comments, subscriptions to the YouTube, to Spotify, the ratings. They help us immensely. If you'd rate the show, if you'd like the show, if you'd share it with your friends, that sort of thing. Last week, we told you guys about the launch of our Patreon, which we successfully launched. I would like to quickly jump on here and shout out the 5 members of our Patreon. Our good friend Roger in Cuyahoga Falls. He is our good friend. We met him in person during Browns training camp a couple weeks ago. Jessica, who is always does not miss a show, always a huge supporter of ours. She's phenomenal. Our very good friend Andy, with which we have bets that cause me to drink copious amounts of alcohol. Our good friend MC Lawrence, and the man himself, Ed in Columbus. Guys, we appreciate all the support. Yep. For those that are curious, the Patreon is patreon.com/barkingbrownshow. Access to that will be early access to all of our special episodes like the one we did last weekend with Stephen Thomas. Access to our articles and newsletter. I wrote my first Browns article yesterday. It is out to the Patreons. This one will actually be available to the public so you can see the kind of stuff that I'm putting out, as well as our private chat and exclusive giveaways. So go to Patreon if you want to support us. And we understand if you don't, because you probably can find something better to do with your $5.
I've got some fun. I love to do the quotes and all that. And stats are probably my favorite. Well, yeah, if there was 1 and 2 things, quotes and stats are my 2 favorites. And so I'm going to put together some fun things there and bring those to you along with what Jacob's writing. So I think we're definitely going to continue to make it worth your time, especially in September, we're going to do all of our Patreons. So we only have 5 right now. So you got a 20% shot as it currently sits, but we're going to give away a shirt, I believe, every month.
Yeah, I think so.
Every month. So yeah, we're gonna make it worth your time, is what we're trying to say. So thank you to everyone, and regardless of if you are a Patreon or not, all your support.
Thank you for being here.
Means the world to us. Your time is the most valuable thing you can give to anyone. So thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I said that to Nick last week, and I said, man, time is the most valuable thing in the world. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And I said, and people choose every day to waste it listening to me. So anyway, no, seriously, we love you guys. We got so many great things planned for you, but we're going to get to our special guest. We will jump all over the Baltimore. That's not what I meant. We will jump all over the Jacksonville Jaguars game afterwards, but we have to finish our preview of the division. We have a special guest in tonight to preview the Baltimore Ravens. Glenn Clark writes for Press Box Magazine in Baltimore. He has been very gracious to give us some of his time tonight to preview the Ravens. So we're going to welcome in Glenn now. Glenn, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you? I got a full disclosure. I got something. I had dinner before I did this with you guys. I had something in my teeth, and it's really driving me nuts. And there's nothing worse than being on video. When you do a radio hit, you can just sort of deal with it as a question's being asked. But right now, this is going to drive me crazy throughout this. So I apologize in advance if I feel distracted. But it's the worst feeling in the world when you go to do one of these things on video, and you're like, damn it, Someone's gonna see this thing right here between my teeth. So hey, how you guys doing?
I get it. So you do what you got to do.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If I had a toothpick right here, I'd take care of it, but I don't have one right behind me. What's going on, boys? How are you?
Wonderful, man. Football is here. Is there anything better in the world than football being here?
3 weeks from now, when it's actual football, that will be much better than us watching Tyler Huntley run around here in Baltimore for a couple of weeks.
We get the people telling us how good Kyle Lauletta is.
I like Kyle. Kyle's a good guy. His family went to Navy. I know Kyle a little bit, so he's a good dude. I'm rooting for Kyle Lauletta.
Disclaimer: I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, we asked this of our guests the last couple of weeks talking about the Steelers and the Bengals. Right now,
mm-hmm.
how do you feel? How differently do you feel than the start of camp? Do you feel better, the same, worse? Like where you got after seeing a little bit of camp?
I feel slightly worse, only because the Ravens have been seriously banged up during the course of these first couple of weeks. For as much as we made about last year and how maybe the football wasn't quite as good with no preseason, the health factor is so overwhelming. And the one that really jumps out at me is the Ravens' first-round receiver, Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. They really, a path for them in the context of trying to take a step further and compete with the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl has to involve having someone establish themselves as a serious outside the numbers presence as far as wide receivers are concerned. Sammy Watkins, counting on him to be the answer is, there's no track record there that suggests that's the case. We've all heard his name a million times, so we think he's a better player than he is. The numbers say he's just not that good of a player. He has not been productive outside of one season in Buffalo, and he's always hurt. Rashad Bateman needed to be that answer very quickly for the Baltimore Ravens. He could end up missing the better part of the first half of the season. It's a crucial time for development, especially for a rookie. I'm very concerned about what that does for them offensively. This is still a very good roster. It's still very good at just about everywhere, but the injuries, in particular Rashad Bateman's injury, have me a bit more concerned than I was coming into the start of training camp.
It's interesting because Marquise Brown was also on that pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's had struggles recently, but what's the general feeling there? Is he expected to take the next step for their passing game this year?
Sure. Generically, yes. But what does that look like? He played really well down the stretch last season. In fact, I'm sure Browns fans obviously remember the fourth down play in Cleveland on Monday night a year ago. From about that stretch on, he was a monster. And if he can be that guy, that's a huge difference for the Baltimore Ravens. But we've been doing this for a few years now, and he hasn't consistently been that guy. So going into this season and assuming that he's going to be that player is a tough thing to do. He's also battled injuries for the entire time that he's been in the league. So it's a lot to expect that. I think we also accept that Marquise Brown is not suited to be that outside the numbers receiver that we're talking about. And when I talk about the need for an outside the numbers receiver, part of that is also that Lamar Jackson needs to be a better outside the numbers passer, right? For the things that he's unfairly criticized for, and he's unfairly criticized for a lot, the one fair criticism of him is he's not a strong outside the numbers passer. So he has to improve in that department as well. But I think we know now 3 years in that Hollywood Brown's probably not that guy as far as an outside the numbers receiver with a bigger catch radius that can help Lamar Jackson in that way. So I think you could expect some production from Hollywood Brown. I think the Ravens are going to try to go to him a lot in the middle of the field, but they desperately need someone to step up more as an outside the numbers receiver, and that's what they're counting on Bateman to try to do.
There's a history of me liking guys in the draft, and they end up in Baltimore. So you're welcome for Rashad Bateman.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's funny because he was the guy that I had zeroed in on if you accepted that the top receivers weren't going to be there, right? Like everybody, why wouldn't you want Jamar Chase? Everybody wants Jamar Chase. He wasn't going to be there. So if you accept that those guys aren't going to be there, he really was the guy that not only, but I think a lot of Ravens fans had zeroed in on as being the right fit for this team. Now, with that being said, I would have vastly preferred the Ravens to be in the Julio Jones market. I think that would have been the way to go, especially considering the cost. I think that asking a rookie receiver to have to do this much for you, or counting on a rookie receiver and a combination of Sammy Watkins, is not the perfect way to go about trying to solve this problem. But I like Rashad Bateman. I think they believe that he was a guy that can make an impact immediately, and we'll see, right? Hopefully that he is not out as long as we fear that he might be right now. And if that's the case, I think he can be a very good player for this team for some time. But that being said, when you say he's a guy you like, the track record of the Ravens in drafting wide receivers is not good. So they're trying to buck that trend significantly right now.
Hey, we had a good year with Rashad Perriman.
Yeah, he was okay for a minute. He was all right there, and he was okay in Tampa briefly. But that was a failed first-round pick, and it's not the only failed first. I mean, part of the Ravens' problem is they didn't draft receivers in the first round for a long time. But that was not a good way to re-enter into the first-round wide receiver market. Hollywood Brown's been good, but part of the problem here in Baltimore is that you got to remember the next two receivers that went after him were A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, and they look like absolute superstars in this league. Yeah. So it's been a difficult thing to judge Hollywood Brown by, who's been a productive, helpful player, but hasn't been that.
We're of the franchise that drafted Corey Coleman and Braylon Edwards, so I feel it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess it's probably gonna be hard for Browns fans to feel sympathy for anything whatsoever.
No. If anybody can sympathize with first round blows, So I don't want to get this political when I bring up the COVID thing with Lamar, right? But how does Baltimore? How does the fandom feel about the potential that Lamar's had it twice? Is it going to happen in the playoffs? Is it going to happen down the stretch? What's the general consensus of the feeling around that?
This is a real issue. The idea that it's a political thing is insane to me. But this is a real issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly a problem for this organization that their quarterback and look, let's just be frank about this. The figure, this team exists and goes as Lamar Jackson will go. They're not winning games without Lamar Jackson. This is, an NFL MVP 2 years ago. That he's unwilling to get vaccinated is a massive problem for this organization, and maybe that changes. Hopefully somebody gets in his ear and changes that. And I don't think it's just about the concerns they have for this season. Like, I don't know that they'll announce an extension with Lamar Jackson while this is sort of hanging over them right now. I mean, and I'm not saying that they're going to let him walk. Lamar Jackson's going to be a Baltimore Raven for a long time. He's going to get his contract. I think that it's possible, and I'm doing deductive reasoning more than I'm doing reporting. I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I have done some deductive reasoning on this that I don't think that they were far off, that they couldn't have gotten this done. I think this is a problem for them, that you don't necessarily want to announce that you're giving a guy $1 billion when he's unwilling to get vaccinated for COVID. That's just it's kind of a bad optic at the moment. So they've got that. It's a real issue for them. Thankfully, physically he was fine coming out of this second bout with COVID, and it wasn't worse than it could have been either time he's dealt with it. But the reality is, everybody knows if he were to get it again and it were to happen before a critical game, a la what happened before they went to Pittsburgh a year ago, then he's going to have to be out for 10 days. He's going to have to be out and could miss multiple games, could be critical games for the division. Obviously, the scenario, and you're not trying to be over dramatic about it or be too hyperbolic, but it's totally possible, given where we are in this country, that this thing lingers on until January, and you're staring down a playoff game. And I get that somebody would say, well, hey, unvaccinated people can get COVID too. Yeah, but we know the NFL set the rules up so that if you're unvaccinated, you only have to test negative twice. So you might be able to come back and play that week after you test positive. So it's such a massive advantage to be vaccinated for a whole boatload of reasons. And again, it's so silly to me that this is something that we're talking about politically. But it's a real issue that the Ravens are dealing with. I know they're not the only one. You know, the Vikings are dealing with Kirk Cousins, but let's be frank, Kirk Cousins, you know, isn't a league MVP type of quarterback, and the Vikings aren't winning the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. The Ravens could, not saying that I expect them to, but they could, and this is something that they're dealing with.
Given that you're talking about the playoffs and the Browns, you referenced the fourth down. The Browns and Ravens probably played the regular season game of the year last year.
Yeah,
I would love to know from a Baltimore perspective how Baltimore people in Baltimore see the division. And the Browns. Obviously, I think the Browns and Ravens are at the top of the division, but just like that perspective from there.
Oh, I think everybody here believes that it's way more the Browns than the Steelers that's the competition in the AFC North. Here everybody assumes that the Ravens are still the team to beat until proven otherwise, and that's fair, right? Given the history and given the track record, but the assumption is the Steelers are a team on the decline, and even just from a pure football standpoint, you have to realize that offensive line in front of a 39-year-old quarterback it's insane what they're doing in Pittsburgh. Even though they have a very good defense, and they still have guys that can catch the ball, to completely revamp that offensive line is bonkers. It's nuts. And to go with 5 new guys and hope for the best in front of a quarterback who's at the end of his career. The Browns are the team. That's the team you're up against. And there are questions. In Baltimore, there's way more of, hey, they're still the Browns until they prove they're not. There's still a lot of that exists here. But I think there's more of an acceptance based on, say, how that game went, the second meeting a year ago, that the Browns are close, and that this is not, this isn't a kid brother at this point in this division. This is a team that is going to be there and is going to fight and is going to battle. And if both teams stay healthy, this should be a phenomenal 17-week season, and it could come right down to the end. But, I think the Ravens rightfully, it's not just, cocky fans. I think the Ravens rightfully feel as though they're still the team to beat, that they still are a very deep team, and they've done this, and they've been in the mix every year. And, if they don't have the entire roster get COVID a year ago, they almost certainly go beat the Steelers, which they almost did anyway, despite the fact that they had nobody on the field. And if they win that game, they win the division a year ago. So I think the Ravens have the right to feel that way until proven otherwise, and that should be really interesting going throughout the course of the season.
I agree, honestly. I've said it. I think the Browns can win the division, but 9 new stars on defense is going to take some. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time.
Look, Jadeveon Clowney has to be a football player, right? It's nice to sign that guy, and it's a low risk, high reward type of signing, but there's got to be a reward. There's absolutely a path. The Browns are a very talented roster. There's no question about it. To your point, all of the changes on defense, they've got to prove defensively, and I think Clowney's the biggest part of that. But the Browns are talented. I think there's every reason to expect the offense to be outstanding. They're going to be in the mix again as long as your quarterback stays healthy and things go the right way. They still have to prove they can get over that hump, right? And I think the Pittsburgh thing in the playoffs a year ago was significant in doing that, right? That was one step towards proving you can get over the hump. I think there's a few more, and clearly the Ravens are kind of a barometer for them moving forward.
Ed wants to know if you like crab cakes.
I mean, do I like crab cakes? Who the hell doesn't like crab cakes? If you're eating a crab cake that's not from this area. We live on crab cakes. Our entire economy is based on football and crab cakes. As what was the, oh God, why can't I even think of the movie? What the hell? The Wedding Crashers once proved once upon a time. Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. That's what an entire economy is based upon here. Of course I love crab cakes.
Come on, Ed.
I think of all the parts of the schedule, parts where the Browns play the Ravens twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it? That's so weird.
Who thought that was a good idea?
It's a really weird thing. I have no idea what to make of it. It's strange, and it's disappointing that they're not more separated. Because again, as much as Ravens Steelers means here, and to the extent that Steelers Browns means something, that really does seem to be the game in the division. So it's quite disappointing it wasn't more separated and there wasn't a bigger game sort of closer to the end of the season. But look, those should still both be massive games. It's just really strange that they scheduled them the way that they did.
It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Like you said, you would think. I mean, you saw what happened in the second matchup. That was the game of the year.
It was really good. It was really, really good.
Because Baltimore's got to go home. What, to Pittsburgh, and then back, and then to Cleveland.
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
3 straight division games. Oh man.
I mean, listen, Lamar kills the Browns, and until we can figure it out, it happens. But we have a shot.
Yeah, well, and sure, then the Browns bye the way that it was scheduled. I mean, like, again, that's the goofiest part is playing back to back. It should seem to benefit the Browns at that point. I am, this being 17 weeks and all of the unknowns about COVID. All of these things that we're talking about could blow up in our faces, and we could be talking about a game. It could be Kyle Lauletta and Tyler Huntley at that point. It could seem silly, but you don't make the assumption that that's going to be the case. And so all of this it's just very weird, and it's I don't know. Again, if it works out that way, we're going to get to that point of the season. It's going to be an electric 3 weeks. It's going to be an absolutely electric 3 weeks when you get to that point.
All right, man. We are going to wrap this up. So give us your prediction how the North shakes out.
I genuinely believe it's the Ravens and the Browns in a dogfight, and I'll, not just because I'm here. I'll give the Ravens a slight edge. I think that they're about a 12-5 type of team. The Browns are probably in the neighborhood of an 11-6 type of team, but it wouldn't surprise me if that goes one way or the other. Again, based on health and based on COVID issues, I think that those two teams will be right in there, and the schedules as a whole are fairly good for both of them to grab some wins in there. So I think it'll be quite interesting. I just don't see. I didn't see it a year ago, and they won a bunch of games to start the season, but they ended up being who we thought they were going to be. I just don't see it from the Steelers. I think that's over. I think it all kind of comes apart. I think they're fighting to be a 500-ish team. I'm not going to try to tell you they're a 4-win team, but I just don't see that. And their defense is too good for that to be the case. But I think they're fighting right around that 9-8 neighborhood, 8-9, somewhere in that territory where they're not really out of it until the year's over. They keep showing them in the hunt whenever you put the screen up during the playoffs, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Look, I actually am very interested. I'm very much a Joe Burrow believer. They should have done more on the offensive line, and they don't have anything defensively. But I think the Bengals are moving in the right direction. It won't stun me at all when the Bengals steal a game this season against the Ravens or Browns that ends up being relevant in the playoff race. So that'll be my sort of goofy prediction that something gets decided by the Bengals stealing a win over one of these two teams.
If there's one thing I think we can agree on, it's that Thursday night game of Bengals and Steelers was delicious.
Yeah, no doubt. So we are definitely in agreement.
That was some fun. Hey man, we really appreciate you taking some time tonight to help us break this down.
I got to give a shout out. Apparently, my cousin Jean is a listener of yours, so I want to give a shout out to my cousin Jean. She doesn't live in Ohio anymore. She's down in North Carolina, but she's a lifelong Browns fan. She hates the fact that Art Modell was always nice to me after he moved the team to Baltimore. But I want to give a shout out to my cousin Jean, who's a listener of your guys and got us hooked up. So, hi Jean, love you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Gene.
Hey, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, at Glenn Clark Radio, 2 N's in Glenn, at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. I'm going to guess you guys probably won't love my content because it's Baltimore stuff, but our show every day, 10 to noon, glennclarkradio.com. That's where you find us. Appreciate it. Great to do this, guys. Really appreciate you having me. Whenever you need me, let me know.
All right, man.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Have a good night.
Sounds good.
All right. That wraps up our division preview series that we I think we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of great guests come in here and do that. Little bit of an echo issue on my microphone, but
the feedback. I think I'm not sure exactly what the issue was there, but
I don't know.
I have no more feedback now.
Yeah, I don't know. He put headphones in and everything, so I have no idea what was going on with that. But it was great talking to him. He was very knowledgeable, very good guest.
Yeah.
That wraps up that. Let's catch up on all these comments, Ned.
Yeah, I was going to say Browns fan for life is here, I think, for the first time, because he was in DMing me asking how he could join. And so here you are. And so thank you for listening. And we talk a lot on Twitter. Our Canadian friend up there. I just anytime someone new joins, it's so nice to see, because I see we've got a bunch of names here in the chat.
Yeah, Austin.
I don't recognize. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's different. Dan's in here telling me, everybody's like, you got an echo. I'm like, I know. Don't worry, we're working through it. It'll be all right.
Working through.
Nate weighs in that the Ravens will be the Ravens unless Jackson's hurt. I mean, I agree. You got to figure it out. You slayed the beast that is the Steelers. Now let's figure out how to beat Lamar. Let's see. Yeah, Roger talking about the extension talks ceasing. That was kind of really interesting. That was a really interesting take. And he even said it was him more speculating than it was reporting, but it was kind of an interesting thing that they're like, we don't want this to be hanging over us. So long as this is a thing, we're not going to potentially sign you to an extension. He's like, oh, we're not going to let him walk. But like, I thought that was really fun. I thought that was really cool. Nate's weigh in on this one I thought was really funny. He goes, hey, the Vikings could win it. Eli has two. Hasselback went to one. Like, hey, you're right. That's true.
Speaking of first-round receivers, Justin Jefferson. Oh my! Coming to my fantasy team, please.
Boy,
that guy's crazy.
Scary. Let's see. Jessica weighing in. Our good friend Jessica. It's scary to think your elite quarterback could miss games for that reason. It is. And he said that. I mean, he straight up said, hey, there's a legitimate concern in Baltimore about the COVID situation with Lamar.
You know what's interesting is they interviewed the Ravens GM the one time, and he said Lamar's going to get paid. So, he very matter-of-factly gave up. I mean, obviously they're going to pay a dude who's been an MVP, but now that Josh Allen's paid, it kind of seems like Lamar should be this year, and so all of a sudden that's ceased, and then in Pittsburgh, they don't talk about it at all, and it really bugs me, because Odell can't breathe incorrectly without getting criticized. But if I'm not mistaken, TJ Watt is still not participating fully in, and no one talks about it. Nobody.
It's funny that you bring that up, because almost every time I hear somebody bring it up, I have forgotten about it because it's not covered. Like you said, it's not covered. So every time someone says it, Browns fan for life says that the echo wasn't too bad. It was on his end. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too terrible or too distracting, because it was a great interview. I thought it was very eye-opening. I don't know, man. Is it because it's the Steelers and they get the poo-poo baby treatment? Like, I think there's one thing that Baltimore Ravens fans and our fans can agree with. It is the preferential treatment that clearly gets paid to the Steelers. We saw it last year. Well, I mean, they kind of played with the Ravens. They helped the Ravens a little bit, but the media attention, it's.
I think I might have a tweet brewing about that, because can you imagine if it was Odell who wasn't participating in team drills because he didn't have the contract he wanted?
That sounds like a tweet that will cause violence.
And it's gonna do well, is what I'm saying. So you heard it here first. Now I understand. It
sounds like a factual tweet, but it sounds like it was gonna be violent.
Obviously, TJ Watt's been incredibly productive, and Odell struggled. I understand that, but just the difference in the way the two players are treated, it makes zero sense to me.
Cancel Anime. I see your question. I'm going to put it on the back burner, and I'm going to answer it soon.
Oh boy, that's a violent question.
Soon, because he is about halfway down my. Everybody and their mother knows. Everybody and their mother knows that there is no bigger DPJ stan on this planet than yours truly, and anybody that pays attention to this show knows that. So we will get to the DPJ OBJ conversation because I may be the one that started that narrative. Anyway, I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up on the screen.
I'll say
because I want to get to it eventually.
The best tweet I had from the Browns preseason game is that DPJ is going to be the Browns' future wide receiver 1. That man is a lightning rod. Like overnight, he is.
Are we
anything you want about DPJ?
You want to do the DP? Let's do the DPJ.
I'm sorry, I just had to.
We'll put the question up here on the thing. I thought, well, I just have DPJ down my list. It doesn't really matter this because, as you know, we quite often don't even get to my list all the way. We just talk about what needs to be talked about. Boop, 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 boop. Anyway, cancel anime. Can we talk about the narrative? First off, is that like a negative thing that you want to cancel anime? Because anime is phenomenal, and I don't like that. Anyway, can we talk about the narrative that DPJ is going to replace OBJ? Yes, we can. And this is why. There's this misconception in my mind that the Browns have to move on from one of these contracts. I think they do. They may even move on from both between OBJ and Landry. We know that they're going to have to move on unless something crazy happens where they both take less money, which they shouldn't. Like that's my thing. Like there's no reason you should take less money. Like I'm not telling you to do that, but if you did, maybe they stay. I think it is more likely that Jarvis is gone than OBJ. I know that's like a hot take, but like I like truly think, however, if you feel comfortable with like a first round rookie or Rashard Higgins as your second outside, you could do DPJ and keep Landry and put Landry back in the slot where he is the most effective, which is by the season ends, I think your 2 outside receivers are OBJ and DPJ. Jarvis is in the slot. It's just where he's the most dangerous, the most effective. That does not mean he's quote unquote wide receiver 3. That just means that's where he's lining up and that's where he's being effective. DPJ is a better outside receiver. He's better built for it. DPJ, there's still a lot, right? OBJ is one of the most physical, athletic freaks of nature we've ever seen. And I'm wearing an OBJ jersey right now in this recording. There's still a long shot, but DPJ has wide receiver 1 written all over him. I've been pounding this table for months, and I see people tag me whenever I love it, by the way. There's all kinds of people that'll tag me or they'll send me a DM whenever some DPJ talk. Roger, our good buddy Roger, does it a lot. He'll be like, man, my favorite is he told somebody the other day, he goes, if you would have listened to Roach 3 months ago, you would have known this. And I was like, hell yeah, Roger, I appreciate that, buddy.
Building that brand, Jacob.
Yeah. Is that my brand? Is DPJ is the love of
really got to be part of it.
It's DPJ is go look at his raw athletic score, his RAS. It's on a scale of 10. Let me bring it up. So the raw athletic score is a metric that I'm sorry, I put it in there wrong. Raw athletic score. Is a metric that they use in talking about athleticism and speed when it comes to prospects coming out of the draft. I'm trying to look this thing up at the same time.
Oh, no, you're okay.
So these raw athletic scores are done on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being what would be considered the most ridiculous athlete of all time, right? Okay. Theoretically,
yeah.
So a 10 is a perfect grade. Donovan Peoples-Jones, our raw athletic score in the 2020 NFL draft was a 9.63.
That's pretty high.
That you don't see that, right? Like that's not a normal. The physical tools, the physical traits of a DPJ. I'm not just saying this to try to be smart and I'm not latching to a player in hopes that he gets really, really good and I look smart, like, and just get lucky, right? No, it's the metrics, it's the number. He didn't have a quarterback. He didn't get developed. Well, he got brought along slowly, something we've not been able to do with sixth round picks in the past. Usually they have to start. He was allowed to be brought on slowly and developed. DPJ is a physical freak, and he's the future in the wide receiver room.
So I don't actively admit this very often, but I very much avoid the future Jarvis Odell conversation because it leads me down a really negative road.
Yeah,
it pits Browns players against each other, and so in general on Twitter especially, I avoid it. But since we're discussing it, there's no doubt to me that Jarvis has been the more consistent and productive player in his time with the Browns. However, when you look at the offense that Stefanski wants to run schematically, and you look at the two players that Jarvis and Odell are, Odell is clearly the better fit when you consider that Stefanski runs so much double tight end sets. Because you need, if you have two tight ends, you're more than likely clogging up the middle of the field with those players. That is primarily where Jarvis operates too. And so just from a schematic standpoint, Odell is the fit. And so it's nothing against Jarvis. It's not a knock on his skill set or what he brings to the team, because obviously there's this whole list of things that Jarvis has done for the Browns. But if you were purely evaluating it on how does our offense be its best, and you had to keep one, I think from that perspective, you keep Odell.
Odell clears out the middle for the tight ends.
Yeah. And
Jarvis operates in the same place.
Yeah. And so you get in this conversation and I see Dan saying, it's okay to be wrong. It's because people feel so strongly about Jarvis because of all the things he brings to the Browns.
If you say something, it means you hate him and you're attacking him and you want him to die. If you say anything that's perceived negative, that's why Nick doesn't want to address this stuff.
Jacob, if you thought you got attacked for saying something about Mac, say one thing about Jarvis. They will come for your head. You will die. I
don't on Twitter. Have you ever seen me say anything negative about anything on Twitter?
I'll
I have to know how this game's played. I created it.
I am your solo host, Nick, with this new Tuesday Barking Brown show because Jacob was pillaged and taken at the stake.
I can hear him. I just for suggesting it, they're out there. Nate agrees. He says he doesn't fit Stefanski's scheme, but he's too talented to keep up the field. He is, and that's why he plays.
Mm-hmm.
We've saw what he can do. You can't put him on the bench. Cancel Anime says the Jarvis stands are brutal. Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. I don't dislike Jarvis. I don't think he's a bad. I mean, he's in the NFL top 100, right? I saw that. However you feel about the NFL top 100, he's still there. And I see. I see Nate saying, Jarvis produces and Odell hasn't. And all of these things make this such a difficult decision.
And that's fine. But if you move on from OBJ, you have to find somebody that does what OBJ does.
Yeah.
And DPJ can do that possibly. And having Schwartz as extra speed is possible too. But those are two guys with 14 career catches? But yeah, the NFL top 100 is a joke. We're not getting into that. But,
I know.
But I know what Nick's saying.
Yeah. So this is a very delicate topic. And in general, whenever I talk about this, if people try to lead me down this road, I steer it the other way. Because for now, the Browns are stacked at wide receiver. And I'm just going to pull a Dolan, I'm just going to enjoy it while it's here. And that's even less popular. Somehow I'm just woo. So
you just find a way to be unpopular. Browns fan for life says, but both may want to stay with the team on a winning team together, make a team deal. Yes, and that is the only way they stay together in Cleveland. But that's a conversation. All right, we're gonna move on to the Jacksonville game. We're 20 minutes into a very heated DPJ conversation, and I love it.
We played a preseason game.
We played a preseason game. Football. was
Football.
on our TVs. In my new house, in my football watching chair, with burgers I made on the grill.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
my second time grilling. It was not great. Anyway, I have a really big question for you right off the top, though.
Hit me.
Brushing your teeth or wiping your butt? You have to give up one. Which one is it?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's got to be brushing my teeth.
It's got to be. It has to be.
I mean, I'm going to look like a Steelers fan by the time it's all said and done, but.
The stupidest thing I saw on the internet today, and I was like, gotta put it on the show. All right, guys. Stupidity rules on this show every once in a while. All right, we're gonna move on to week 1. So, what do we want to do? Do you want to do what I liked, what I didn't like, offense or defense? Where do we want to go first? Actually, off the top, I have these things saved. I have some grades for you, some top of the grades for the Browns from PFF.
I've been eating this stuff up like candy. Hit me.
Okay, so let's see here. Okay. This is who we'll probably talk about first. In 37 snaps, Richard LeCount had a 90.4 overall grade, easily the best on the team.
Richard lay stud.
My boy, AJ Green, in 31 snaps, had a 79.6 overall grade, the second best on the team. That's right. AJ Green graded higher than the third highest graded person on the team, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who graded out at a 78.1 and his team high 47 snaps. However, he made 8 solo tackles, and are you ready for this? They were all 8 stop tackles. Do you know, like, this got explained to me because I was kind of aware of it. Do you know what a stop tackle is? Like the specific analytics of it?
No.
So a stop tackle is where the defender makes a play that is considered a negative for the offense. So it was a screen pass that got 2 yards, or it was a tackle for a loss, or it was a fade route or an out route that got it's considered where tendency would normally say that they should produce more than what they did. That was a stop tackle. So, like, his tackle for a loss is a stop tackle. That was a bad play for the offense. Every time he was involved, it was a stop tackle. JOK he was like 5 yards. Did you hear about this? He was 5 yards off of a guy.
Oh, I saw.
And he covered it in 1.2 seconds.
And he accelerated to like 14 miles an hour or something.
He went from 2 miles an hour to 14.
That's crazy.
We're going to get... By the way, in 46 offensive snaps, Kyle Laletta had a 92 grade. So whatever.
You know what? I know this is one game and all of that, but is it possible that JOK is actually a hybrid that, because before I remember, like, we talked, and shout out to Barkevius Mingo, who made a long NFL career for himself. I think he might still be in the league.
Yeah, he's got some legal issues going on right now, but yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Yeah, he does. Oh,
yeah.
Oops.
We're not going down.
Reeling that back in, just gotta whoops. But so my point was, when he came out, we were told he was a hybrid and he could do all these things. And it felt like that was just a fun way of saying he's not really that good at anything. He just does everything okay. And with and I know it's only been one game, but with JOK, man, that guy looks like he's as fast as a DB and hits like a linebacker.
Well, that was the report, right? That was what was the report coming out. Was some people said he was a linebacker, some people say it's a safety, and I honestly quite don't think it's fair to label him as anything. I think he's a defensive weapon, and we saw that. It's a situation where I said this about the whole team. You know what was very, very evident about this entire team?
What's that?
Speed, speed, speed.
Yep.
This team is fast.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. And we didn't see many starters. Top to bottom. This team is fast. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in his 47 snaps was everything he was advertised to be. Mm-hmm. Granted, I get it. It's Jacksonville. Our second string, we're whooping their first string's asses. How great is that, by the way? Normally we're on the other side of that, where they're resting all their guys, and we're down 37-2. So somehow we got a safety because they felt bad for us. I get it. Let's not overreact to the preseason. Let's not do it. But all we can do is react to what we just saw, and what we just saw is not something I've ever seen in Cleveland out of the linebacker position. That I'm not going to call him generational after one preseason game, but he is the kind of guy. If he can play like that when it matters, that's transformative. That's a transformative type of player.
I tweeted a Greg Newsome quote about the rookie class today from Building the Browns, which if you don't watch Building the Browns, you are missing out. And he basically talks about the camaraderie that they've already formed and how the Browns are bringing in the right people. And he just echoes like the culture that they've built in Cleveland. And I don't think I said this a couple times while I was talking to people about it today. I don't think I've ever seen a rookie class debut better than what I saw Saturday.
No, I mean, there were some bumps. Tommy Togiai and Marvin Wilson didn't look great. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with Greg Newsome. I thought Greedy played pretty good. He took contact and he seemed okay. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I told, we sat on the show last week and talked about it. I wanted to see how his shoulder reacted, and I wanted to see if he was afraid of contact, and he wasn't. That was great. We haven't seen the best of our linebackers. I'm excited for Anthony Walker. If that was a Mac Wilson comment, you can leave. Don't leave. That was rude. You do whatever you want. Yeah, man. Like Newsome looked good. He's sticky. I'm still pretty sure that was an interception. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you that pass doesn't get off. That pass does not get off if Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are in that game. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That was like, how do you expect your guy to cover for 5 seconds? That's not gonna happen. JOK, it's just I don't want to I need to see it more. I need to see it when it matters. Oh, he says fuck Mac Wilson. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. All right, good.
Wow, geez, violence over here, man. I'm here. I am dropping bombs on the show, and then there it is. That's just. Oh man! Wow. Okay.
So what a ride this has been.
So this is a Monday show.
This is a Monday. Yes. This is why we do it on Tuesdays. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Jesus, so, guys. Oh,
JOK was they knew he was blitzing. They knew he was blitzing. Sack.
You briefly touched on AJ Green. And the magic letters there are UDFA.
Yes.
That is my golden standard right there. And I remember when we took him, and I was really excited about him then because he, very similarly to Marvin Wilson, was given a whole bunch of money because they liked him and they outbid other teams for him. So it's becoming a little bit of an Andrew Berry MO. I don't know if Marvin Wilson will pan out. I don't know if AJ Green will pan out. But I do know that they have been very aggressive in paying these undrafted free agents. And AJ Green could be a guy that just needed time. He's contributing in camp.
He's had a good camp, yeah.
And so I'm excited about that. And then you've got late round pick that we very, very briefly touched on, Richard LeCounte.
Oh, it's coming. You want to do that?
I would love. We're on the defense. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Richard LeCounte. But way back in episode 5, we did a deep dive, a scouting report of Richard LeCounte. Go back, listen to what I said. If you think I'm lying to you, I said then that Richard LeCounte is at his best when he's playing center field. When he is a single high center field safety, that is when he's at his best. That is truly where he's at his best. His almost interception in the first half was textbook how you play center field. That was not his man. He could go wherever he needed to.
Yeah.
There was good coverage by the corner, good, not great, and just excellent ball skills. And that's one of Richard LeCounte's. you know, best aspect is his ball skills. I mean, he had 7 interceptions his last 2 years in college. He had 4, the 1 year. I mean, he had the horrible accident last year, or what could have been his pro day. Him and Demetric Felton showed. We'll get to the offense here soon, but him and Demetric Felton just showed you that those horrible pro days were not who they were. They were who they were on film, not what they were on the pro days. Richard LeCount had the highest grade. I get it. It was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But right now, Delpit and Harrison, and I'm hearing that Delpit's trending in the right direction. And Cammie Justice, I tweeted her, and she told me that she thinks Harrison's is more precautionary than anything.
Okay.
Richard LeCount, I was worried about the safety death. Richard LeCount made me think, okay, there's our 4th safety.
Yeah, I did too.
Like, I was like, okay, we're good. We have 4. We have 4 guys at least that can play. He was phenomenal, man. I mean, it was textbook center field. He made breaks on the ball. He wasn't afraid to come up and hit you. Richard LeCount, listen, I was not a huge Richard LeCount believer. I said he had the hardest path to the roster slot of all of our draft picks. I was wrong.
Yeah, you did say that. I remember. Couple things. A, we now are getting to the point where we've done enough shows where we can promote our Richard LeCount episode and look really smart. And so that's
you can go back and you're like, man, he got lucky again.
Yeah, I might have to tweet that one out right there. That's gonna be fun. Oh man,
we have a Richard LeCount tweet coming tomorrow morning.
Baby, God, spite. And so I just want to say, I know it was just one game, and I know it's preseason, but if say Richard LeCount pans out, we talked about this in that video. He and Demetric Felton both have a very similar characteristics that Andrew Berry identified to Donovan Peoples-Jones, where there were outside factors that caused them to be less productive than they could have been in college. And Andrew Berry identified that and found value that other teams did not see. And so if LeCount or Felton or both hopefully pan out, and it looks like Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be a hit, you're starting all of a sudden. Say we fast forward to next year's draft, you have developed a trend of finding and eliminating the outside factors that inhibited a player from being productive, and then Andrew Berry's just literally stealing at the end of the draft.
Isolating talent. You're isolating talent and identifying it. Yeah, that's a really good point, man. I'm glad you said that. That is chess, not checkers.
That is chess, not checkers. Oh, baby. There's so many tweets I wish every day was so much longer, because it's like you can only have really one conversation a day. I mean, you could have
one really good one. You want to put it out right first thing in the morning and just let it simmer. Yeah. For everybody that wants advice about tweeting, and I'm not nearly as good at it as Nick, but
yes, you are.
It is very, very clear that 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Put your stuff out.
That's hot time.
So Nate asked, who's all 4 safeties? It's John Johnson, Ronnie Harrison, Grant Delpit, Richard LeCount.
Yep.
That's the 4 right now. I have a thought that some other guys, like I think Javonte Moffitt might find a way to sneak onto that. He was okay. He's been okay in camp. He's actually played a ton in camp because of Ronnie and Delpit's injury. I could see a situation where actually Richard LeCount is playing a little bit more than Grant Delpit, just because Delpit, I think Nate says Delpit might not work out. I'm going to tell you right now, he's a 2nd-round pick. He's not getting cut. There's zero chance Delpit gets cut. He may, if something crazy happens and he gets put on IR, because it only means 3 weeks, then he potentially isn't starting. But Richard LeCount or Grant Delpit will be fine, I think, because I'm getting the consensus is he's trending towards the right direction. But he's only had like nine team reps in camp, is what I read. So he definitely needs to get out there soon to play week 1.
And so I think you're seeing why, some people were like, well, why don't the Browns just pay Olivier Vernon like some really small whatever, and then he could come back? And it's like, these Achilles injuries are brutal.
He tore his Achilles in December, guys.
Which is,
You need Grant Delpit is just about 2 a year.
Yeah.
I think his was August 24th. No, it wasn't that late, was it?
I'm not sure.
It was like the beginning of camp. It actually happened to be the same day that Greedy went down. That's just wild. But we didn't know that Greedy was down at the time. They didn't know that it was a. Okay, I'm going to do a couple quick things that I didn't like on the defense, and we'll switch to the offense.
Okay.
There's going to be a problem if Tack can't come back. I don't think I'm not worried about Clowney. I'm not worried about Myles Garrett. Porter Gustin has a motor that never stops. It resulted in a sack, but I don't know that he can win consistently. I actually am not going to lie. I was very impressed by Joe Jackson. I actually like Joe Jackson better than I liked Porter Gustin or Curtis Weaver. Curtis Weaver didn't show me anything. Like I'm really high on the guy. I need to see absolutely one preseason game. Just like don't overreact to the good guys, don't overreact to the bad guys. I'm worried about first and foremost. I'm worried about Tack's personal is his mental and physical health. But from the business side of it, I think you have to make a move if he's not coming back because I don't feel good about Gustin, Weaver, maybe Joe Jackson as edge 3. I'm not crazy about that.
I'm not saying players can't develop, but God, we already saw this when it's just the Myles Garrett show. And it's man.
And part of, we talked about this a million times about the Clowney health thing, that part of it for me is that with Tack being able to split some of those snaps, I thought you had a better chance of Clowney staying healthy because just less snaps, less wear and tear on his body. If that's not there, I'm not sure I'm not sure how this works out.
And the other thing too is that Myles has played, like I know he's had injuries and then he got suspended, but when Myles is playing in the game, he's basically playing as many snaps as anyone, and so he's gassed in the fourth quarter. Like
we can't have him gassed in the fourth.
That's a problem that needs to be addressed. Yeah. And I know you can't fix everything. And Ken Carman very, very often says it takes years to build a defense and to build depth. And I've really subscribed to that theory. So I understand you're overhauling the entire defense, and not all of it's going to be perfect, but I mean, you're right. If Tack is gone, like behind Clowney and Garrett is scary. And Clowney, who has looked amazing in camp, with his injury history, that's terrifying to me.
The best part is we're having conversations about depth as our biggest issue after week 1 of the preseason. And Nate kind of echoes this. He says we still have more depth than majority of the rest of the league. And it's true. I'm just saying that these are the positions. I'm worried about that, and I did not see anything out of those D tackles that I love. And I love those D tackles. I love Marvin Wilson. I love Tommy Togiai. You know who impressed me the most? A guy I wrote off. He's having a great camp. We can't sleep on Sheldon Day. I don't care that he hasn't played much and that he's not. I mean, he's playing right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, we talked about it last week. AB's ego will not get in the way. We talked about this with Stephen Thomas. If Sheldon Day is one of the 4 or 5 best defensive tackles, Sheldon Day will be on this roster.
Agreed.
Damon Square didn't play a ton, so I didn't get a great look at him. Tommy Togiai, Jordan Elliott, more of the same. Jordan Elliott had that great 4th down stick. That was exactly what he needed to do, a stop on that 4th down, but that was it. I think he graded in the 40s. I'm going to tell you, of the people that I think are the most in danger of not making it from last year's draft class, I think it's Jordan Elliott. Like I'm afraid. I know that's a top 100 pick. We talked about this with Stephen Thomas over the weekend when we previewed the preseason on our special episode. We talked. If you haven't seen that, by the way, that ended with a dad joke off that I lost. But
what a great episode!
It was great,
and you could get it early. Our Patreons were watching it that night.
That was Thursday night. I put it out to the public on Saturday. It's doing pretty well though.
I saw Jake Burns. I think it was Jake Burns who tweeted about Andrew Billings not having a great time.
Andrew Billings, he got pushed around a little bit, and that was, once again, hasn't played in over a year.
Yeah, you gotta consider that.
That's why we got the whole preseason for a lot of these guys. Obviously, they made the 5 roster moves today, none of which were 2 of which were IR. I really feel for Ryan Switzer. I really like Ryan Switzer. It's tough to see him go on IR again. Andrew Bill, like the defensive line did not settle any of the worries I had going into this. The depth. Any of the worries, any of the concerns or questions about the defensive line, they just weren't answered.
You know what? I'm thinking about this as we're doing it, and this is probably the most gritty show I think we've ever done. Like we're really going into this, and I think it's good. It's a good conversation to have, right? Because the goal is to win the division and to hopefully, go beyond the divisional round of the playoffs. And so I'm certainly concerned about if there was one group that concerns me now after one preseason game, it's the defensive line.
Yes. And that's it.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, across the board. I mean, there's some players that you want to see more out of, but across the board, as a position group, that's it. Nate says, when can we ever nitpick? Exactly. That's our point. Like, hey, guys, these are great points out. I guess, so this is a funny thing. The Browns or the Jags defensive line, they had their starters out there, and I guess Bucky Brooks, or it might have been Bucky Brooks, who was calling the game, was saying how great of a challenge this great Browns offensive line was for them. And I'm like, bro, there ain't a starter out there. What? All right, man, let's move to the offense real quick. Oh, by the way, Jacob Phillips liked it. Didn't love it, liked it.
Yeah.
I think he took another step in the right direction. I agree, Dan, that Billings will be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. It's his first game back. It's just you got to look at the good and the bad. I think if you're giving a fair assessment, you can't just be rosy. And I know Jacob and I both swing to that side, but you definitely need to be realistic too.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate talks about Day had a sack, so did Gustin. Like I said, Gustin, that was an effort sack. It wasn't an overly impressive pass rush. He just didn't stop, which can lead to 3 or 4 sacks a year. And Sheldon Day he was the only one on the defensive line that really even impressed me, but he only played like 14 snaps. So it's not, they're not enormous issues. They're just issues that need to be worked out the next couple of weeks.
Can I just say, Michael Dunn is a stud.
Oh, that's where we're going. So go ahead.
Michael Dunn is a stud, and he is making all these other teams with all these offensive line issues jealous around the league because he is just chilling, hanging out as the Browns backup. And I don't know, for all the defensive line concerns we have, I mean, the Browns are literally embarrassingly rich at offensive line right now.
Michael Dunn had 18 true pass set snaps. This excludes plays with less than 4 rushers, play action, screens, short dropbacks, and time to throw that was under 2 seconds. So that's 18 snaps. 87.4. That's your third tackle on the roster. I'm sorry, third guard on the roster.
You're seeing why TJ Watt didn't have a sack in the playoff game.
Cam Hayward. He was on Cam Hayward.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I said I have TJ Watt on the brain.
Hey, Cam Hayward is on TJ's level, if you ask me. We talked about it last week, man. Michael Dunn's making this roster.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a way to put him last time on my 53-man roster, and I was wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's at the expense right now. It's at the expense of Drew Forbes. And anybody who knows me knows I love. I know, I see it. I see you over there dancing and carrying on.
Should I do guitar?
Oh, that's not related. Those are not the same. Get out of here. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just having fun.
Get out of here. Anyway. Don't.
I'm just trolling Jacob a little bit. And I love Kadero Hodge. I hope he makes the roster.
Do we think the Browns make any moves with this roster? Yes. That's actually what we're going to get to. So Dunn is making the roster. I think he's a lock at this point. He was in the second half, he was playing center. He was playing some center snaps. I think he has pushed Drew Forbes onto the outside, although Drew Forbes just looked like Drew Forbes. He did Drew Forbes things. I mean, he was a little rusty, but he did Drew Forbes things.
It's not like he was bad. I think he was bad.
No, just Michael Dunn was better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a knock. I think a situation where you're going to have a plethora of riches, where you're going to have to if Drew Forbes is not making your roster, you don't want to cut him.
No,
he's too valuable. I think he's too good. If Blake Hance isn't making your roster, I'm not sure Blake Hance is in the same level, but like one of those guys could be flipped for maybe an edge guy that's going to get cut, or maybe a safety guy that's going to get cut. Some of those depth pieces. That's kind of the moves I think they could make, Nate. I think that's kind of the stuff they're going to do. Hey, we have too many linemen. You have too many pass rushers.
Yeah.
We need a pass rusher. You need a lineman. But I'll say this. My prediction that Chris Hubbard gets traded is false. It will not happen. James Hudson, I think he is a nice ball of clay. He takes on power rushes, but his kick step and his stance, he's not there. He is not ready.
And that's okay. That's okay.
He's a day 3 pick. He is not ready, so I do not want him to be the first one off the board. So I liked what James Hudson did. You can see why they like James Hudson a lot. But I think that Chris Hubbard's here to stay because of something like that. I want to point this out because I keep skipping over this. This team is just really well coached. Top to bottom. It was everyone knows their assignment. It was just pure assignmentally sound football, right? Just sound assignment football is what we saw out there, top to bottom. They looked that they were all second team, and they all knew what they were on offense, and they all knew what they were supposed to do. There was no they weren't slow, they weren't confused. They knew what they were going to. Kevin Stefanski's had a real offseason. I think what we saw last year, that's the tip of the iceberg for this team.
Agreed. Very few penalties.
3 penalties. Let me ask you something. How about our boy Dimitri Felton?
Oh baby, yeah. You know what?
We ain't even got to that yet.
I'm turning on. I'm gonna get a big light here, like a big something, because of the energy and the fun that we bring, and I'm just gonna turn it on because it is hype time. Dimitri Felton, oh baby, that guy looks like. You know what, Jacob? He's making the roster
easily.
And we both predicted him to make the roster.
But where? That is what got interesting.
Yeah, that is
not that he's making it, but where.
And it's really interesting because he's learning 3 positions at once, right? Running back, wide receiver, returner, and
that's what I wrote down. I was like, he's not even focused on one position.
Yeah, which I mean, wow. So
UCLA is a smart kid.
That's he's out there doing his. I know he wasn't running the ball, but I really felt like between I wanted to tweet this out, but I just didn't get a chance. But I felt like Dearness Johnson and Dimitri Felton were doing their best Chubb and Hunt impression. Like Dearness Johnson was out there trucking people.
I liked what Dearness is still a better runner. I still want to see some Felton snaps out of the backfield, but man, Dearness looked good.
Yeah, he did.
Did you see Ed's comment? Are you laughing at Ed's comment? We got to put it up on the screen. He said, Nick, your birthday present is coming via Amazon tomorrow. It's an air guitar and the case shipped separately. He's at a loss for words, Ed.
God, I love Ed. Thank you, Ed. I can't wait. I will play it every day.
Dude, he looked like a seasoned vet in the slot, man. The routes were crisp. They were clean. They were on time. He made contested catches.
Yeah.
He caught the ball away from his body. His catch radius was bigger than I thought.
That guy's a player. He said in one of the building of the Browns that he's been waiting for this opportunity his whole life. That I think it was one of the building the Browns because I remember just like imprinting that in my brain. And it was so similar to what Donovan Peoples-Jones said when he was drafted late. And it just like that it hit me. And you could just see that he has the mentality of someone that is going to work his ass off. I think it was Cameron Justice who quoted him and said basically he reads the playbook every night because he's learning so many different positions until he falls asleep. And
yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's just top to bottom the mentality of these rookies, and you can see there's a culture and a mentality that Andrew Berry has identified, Paul DePodesta, the front office, whoever, and that they're bringing in because all these guys are just from our first rounder to the bottom. Every one of them values being a Brown and being picked. There is no Corey Coleman. There is no, oh my God, his name escapes me. The defensive back, Justin Gilbert. There is none of that garbage mentality here. It's just work. And you see it. And that's the thing you said, right? Is that they're well coached and you see the Kevin Stefanski work mentality among them. And it's delicious.
We saw that again. In building the Browns this weekend. Yeah. He gets in there that first training camp practice. He has the fans turned off inside because he says, camp's going to suck. Is it hot in here? Good. It's not going to be fun. He goes, you know me, I'm about the work. He must have right there in that clip talked about how they were there to work probably 10 times. I don't know. I mean, I know you did it the one time. Did you go through the one time and you counted how many times he said work?
Yep.
Okay. I recall that. Now, I bet you could get a few. I mean, it only happened in that one clip, but I bet you could have he got it. He is about the work. They are about the work. That whole team has bought in. It doesn't matter what Eric Mangini brought. Nobody ever bought in. Nobody trusted Freddie. Everybody has bought in with good reason.
So, something stuck out to me about that quote because I went back. I listened to it like 5 times to get the whole sentence. And you're right. He said camp is going to be really hard. If you're uncomfortable because it's hot in here, good. That's what camp is about. He says we need to share in the suck. We need to embrace it. So, it's not just like, oh, camp's going to suck for you. It's like it's going to suck for all of us. Like this is hard work for all
Nobody's
of us.
Having fun.
We're all putting in time. It's like I feel like it helps bond the coaching staff with the players themselves because it's like, yeah, I know we're coaches, but we're putting in all these hours right there with you.
When I was playing football in high school, which was a terrible idea, I had a coach one time during 2-a-days wear his winter coat. It was 98, 100 degrees outside. It was August, mid-August. He had a winter coat on because he was trying to teach us that mind over matter. It's not hot out here. It's cold out here. I need my coat on. He ran gassers with us that day with a winter coat on in 100-degree heat. You think you don't want to play for guys like that? Like I mean, it's not just about rah guys. It's not about that. It's not about it's about, like you said, it doesn't just suck for you. Yeah, I don't have pads on. I'm not hitting anybody, but I got my coat on. I'm sweating. I'm working. I'm working like you're working. We're in this together. And it is like you think you can't love that man anymore. And I'm telling you, getting to see his whole face for the first time, that's a handsome son of a bitch.
There it is.
Nate's signing off. Nate, we love you, buddy. Take care.
I just want to I know we're getting to the point here, but there's something that hit me too, because I really like this personally, is Andrew Berry. So Andrew Berry is the youngest GM in the league. And obviously, he's got so much more room to grow and learn and all that stuff. But the thing that is the most important to me is that in building the Browns, they already have Ryan Grace in there, who is famously, ousted of Indianapolis for not protecting Andrew Luck and that. And then they brought in Bob Quinn, who so Andrew
Kind
Berry.
of did the same thing.
Oh, what's that?
I said kind of did the same thing, but go ahead.
Basically, but Andrew Berry now has 2 failed GMs on his roster, and on his team, and he said something. He's like, I can't directly quote it, but he's like, I can learn so much from people who have come before and failed, and what went wrong with them. There's so much that I can pull from them, and I think that's so. I think it tells you so much about Andrew Berry, because there were GMs here before that weren't. I mean, John Dorsey famously wouldn't even talk to our analytics people, right? Like, he just wouldn't play nice with others. And it's like, Andrew Berry's here, I know you've been here. You've been here before. You've failed. Help me learn from you. I want to absorb this knowledge from you. And obviously, with both Grigson and Quinn, even though they did fail, something got them there in the first place, right? Like, they were good at something.
Yeah.
And so, you're isolating what they were good at that got them a GM job in the first place, and you're pulling. It's just more of that mentality from Berry, like you said. His ego is not going to get in the way if Sheldon Day is one of the best, right?
Sheldon Day overtakes a top 100 pick from a year ago.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that happens, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but it just speaks to the mentality that is behind our front office and that. And I love that, because from Greg Newsome to Andrew Berry, it just feels like everyone is humble and willing to absorb and learn from anyone who can give it. It's not like Andrew Berry's up in his ivory tower, or Kevin Stefanski's like, I'm coach of the year now and I can't learn anything from anyone else. They're all just willing to learn from people that have things to offer. And I think that's so important, because it wasn't here. It hasn't been here in decades. Hugh Jackson wasn't taking anything from anyone. Sorry.
No, he wasn't.
No, he certainly was not.
And it was really cool, I thought, that we got to see Ryan Grigson talk in building the Browns.
Yeah.
Just because you got to see that mentality. You got to see what he was brought in for. Ed wants to know if Greg Williams coached me in high school. Heat exhaustion, come get some. I tell you what, Coach McCarty is his name. He started coaching me and he followed me. I was a year younger than his oldest, and he started coaching me in 3rd grade and coached me all the way through high school. That's a good man. He's a very good man.
Can I ask you something? Do you know if his oldest son's name was Devin?
No, his oldest son's name is Adam.
Ah, okay.
I actually deployed with Adam. Adam is a captain in the Army.
Oh, wow.
Was actually part of the crew that went to Afghanistan with me, which was kind of cool to reconnect, because I actually got to see my old coach the day I left the United States and the day I came back.
Wow.
Because he was there for Adam, and it was just kind of cool. I just saw him in the hallway, and he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, coach." And he's still coach. He'll always be coach for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
He was a good dude. Browns fan for life. Trust in AB. He has earned that trust. I can't argue with that, because it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked at my notes, man. I mean, that's all I've got. I mean, it was a good weekend, man.
Yeah.
Browns were off today. We'll see you tomorrow. For those that want to know if I'm worried about the Takk McKinley situation, if I don't hear anything when Stefanski speaks in the next 2 days, that's when I'm going to worry.
Alarm bells.
That's when alarm bells go off, because that's when we're starting to get – you don't have – it's none of my business why he's out. I said this on Twitter. It's none of my business. But if we don't know some kind of timeline, that's the information I think we should be getting soon. And if we're not, that's where I'm at.
On a hopeful, positive note, I know I know Kevin Stefanski said that he expected most of the hamstring, the soft tissue injury guys, back on Tuesday.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be, fingers crossed. Grant Delpit needs it. We got to get Grant Delpit. Although, Richard LeCount looking good. Thank you. That's why these
crazy.
I'm just saying, like the same thing.
No, you're right.
When you draft well, and obviously we have a long way to go before we can definitively say if these prospects, you insulate yourself from an injury completely destroying your season. And
you're
so
going
it's
to have injuries.
Yeah, everyone does. We just lost. Oh, you know what? Something we didn't cover. We need a new tight end. That sucks. But
that is a real thing because this offense really needs 4 tight ends, I think.
We need a new tight end. So, shout out to Carlson.
Johnny Stanton was having fun, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah. All right. So definitely, all of a sudden, I bet we're going to have some moves to talk about because depending on what happens with Tech, we already know definitively.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
That's right. Bring it up on the screen. Bring it up on this screen. Roger had a bowl of breakfast soup during the show. That's right. That's right. Had him some soup. You know what my favorite soup is? Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ooh, I have a question then. So I enjoyed Cinnamon Toast Crunch without milk.
Okay.
So what would I call Cinnamon Toast Crunch if I didn't put milk in it?
Crackers. Sweetened crackers. Graham crackers. Graham crackers.
Oh, man. Okay.
I think that's where we'll end this one.
I just want to say again, I never in a million. It is such a small percentage of people that do this that even generate anything, and our views have gone up. We just hit 800 views on the podcast today. So shout out to all you podcast listeners, and everyone, YouTube. We're working our way. You know what? I think we're at like 160 something subscribers on YouTube. 225. We're giving away shirts. 164. Love it. So we're still growing. Perfect. So guys, thank you for all the support. And as we keep going, we're going to give away shirts. Jacob did his first article. You got to check that out. Definitely Patreon, all that. And I'm going to bring you some fun quotes and some fun stats. Oh, you know what? I didn't get a chance to roast Tony Grossi. We are roasting Tony Grossi in our
newsletter.
Yeah, we are roasting his
newsletter. Will have a full article roasting Grossi. Nick's going to start it, and I think I'm going to add to it.
I just every day with him. Oh my God, I'm getting on
the Baker thing. Like I don't want to extend this. We're running too long. But did Baker call? Like Kevin Stefanski is the most even-keeled person like I've ever met, and even he was like,
dude, he looked pissed. That's the first time I've seen him like legitimately look upset. Like I saw the video of it, and he just stares at him.
And he's actually there too, so he's like,
yeah. It's fun. And I asked him, they wouldn't comment. I was like, how long until Kevin Stefanski hears one of these grossing questions and just flips the table? Because I'm telling you, man, even Tony Grossi knows no bounds. Yeah. But anyway,
put a W up here on the Jaguars.
All right, yeah. No, I hope you leave that up throughout the season because it would be super cool. Super cool. Imagine we win the Super Bowl and you frame that.
Yeah, I got a little pen mark on it. We'll put it on there. So when we win the Super Bowl, I'll frame it.
There it is.
Hey, guys, seriously, subscribe, like, comment, tweet, DM us.
All of it.
It helps us immensely. Check out the Patreon. We're pumping out content.
We're going to make it worth it.
Absolutely. We're having so much fun. I say this all too often. I get too mushy, and I know it's the truth, but like the dream is to talk football. Y'all made it my reality.
Yeah.
My life, I don't know what my life has become. It's so amazing, and you guys are a big part of it.
Yeah. No, it's true. And as we grow, the more we grow, the more, and thank you, especially everyone in our little group chat. Thank you everyone for supporting us because the more you help us grow, the more we can bring to you.
Yep.
And that's the best part because we both, Jacob and I, love this and we love doing it for you and we love the feedback. So thank you to everyone. I don't care how you have been supportive of us, whether it's just, liking a YouTube video or tuning in here or being a Patreon or whatever. Thank you for giving us your time. We both appreciate it. And we ran long today. Thanks. And this is a Monday episode. We all got all these people on Monday. Thanks for joining us. Special time. So this has been episode 17, which is significant to me because my birthday is tomorrow. On the 17th. I'm Nick.
Jake Delhomme.
Jake Delhomme. And Jack Conklin's birthday is tomorrow. Going to tweet about that tomorrow. Spoiler. Anyway, I'm Nick. He's Jacob. And as always, go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.